Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Welcome, Foxborough, to another great edition of Foxborough Central. I'm Bob Hickey. I'm your host today. Thank you for taking a few minutes to join us as we talk about our community and the fun, exciting things that happen in Foxborough. Speaking of fun and exciting, I'd like to introduce to you my guest for today, Mr. Bill Cunningham. Bill, welcome to Foxborough Central. How are you doing?
Good, Bob. Thanks.
Bill, for those of you who may know, may not know, is the director, owner, Grand Poobah, how do you say it, of the Orpheum Theater?
Executive director.
The executive director of the Orpheum Theater here in Foxborough, located right off the Common. You've been doing this for ever since I can remember, but
8 years, I believe.
It's longer than 8 years.
I've been there probably about 10 or 11, but our nonprofit, which is Bay Colony Productions, Inc., bought it in November of 2004.
Okay, so since November of 2004, Bay Colony Productions. Yep. So that's a nonprofit organization, and the theater itself is the host of productions from Bay Colony Productions?
Yeah, we bought the building, okay. And then we perform there. We also rent out to like Uncommon Theater Company. We do movies, bands, we have classes. We're doing a haunted house coming up. We do comedy shows. So we do a bunch of different things throughout the year. Well,
I think one of the more visible, at least maybe it's just me, but one of the more visible things that I always look forward to is the Three Stooges Film Festival.
Absolutely.
Over the holidays. So is that coming up again this year?
Yeah, it'll be right after Christmas.
Yeah.
We do about 6 or 7 shorts, and it's pretty popular. You know, It's one of our fun events that we've been doing, I think, actually longer than we've owned the building, so probably about 9 years or so.
It's become a holiday tradition here in Foxborough, so
Absolutely.
to speak. So with the Three Stooges, that's not the only film, though, that you're showing these days. And, due to the beauty of television and videotape, I'm not sure exactly when you at home were watching this, but one of the things I saw when the last time I was rounding the Common was the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, we do that generally once a month or so. We have one coming up, and this is probably our most popular because of Halloween. So that'll be Friday, October 26th.
Oh, okay.
So it starts at 11 o'clock.
But this is going on monthly, so it's an 11 o'clock showing, not a midnight show.
Correct, yeah.
Because we're Foxborough.
Absolutely.
We go to bed earlier.
Absolutely.
Because I remember, not that I was ever a kid, but I remember when I was a kid going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It was always the midnight madness.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's the city. Those are the city folk.
So we're the country folk out here.
Absolutely.
Well, in the city, again, if memory serves, because this is a distant memory and one that my children probably will never let me want to remember, at least in public. But I'm going to because it's my TV show and I can do what I want. So there were actors that used to act at the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and people in the audience would maybe not behave docile. Like
Absolutely.
Toast and Rain and
yeah.
Does that happen in your theater?
Absolutely. We have the Rocky RKO Army who does what's called shadow casting, which means they act out the show in front of the movie screen.
And everybody's very quiet though, right? Because
Yes.
nobody would ever speak.
No.
They'd be very rude to talk in the middle of a show, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's all they do actually. They shout out things at the screen, and we sell bags full of stuff that they can go along with the movie, because people used to bring in toast and rice, and it just got really messy for theaters. So
I was going to ask you about that.
We kind of circumvented that. They kind of circumvented that by selling bags of not so messy stuff. So, but people dress up and come in character, and they have, funny things to say at precise moments, and
So, folks at home, I know that you tune into Foxborough Central for my in-depth interviews and hard-hitting fact-finding, and what better time than now to find out, do you, Bill Cunningham, Executive Director, Time Warp?
I've been once in a while in the back. No one really sees me.
That's not good. You got to let it hang out.
Yeah.
You got to show it. You ready to time warp now?
No, I'm not. It's too early, actually. No.
It's just a step to the left.
You have children, right? They're going to watch this?
But they don't watch this.
Okay.
No, nobody. No, this is cable television.
Right.
You be free. It's all good.
I'm time warping in my head right now.
All right, next time we got to get a commitment.
Okay.
All right. Folks behind the camera volunteers, Foxborough Cable Access, are probably happy that we're not going to get up and dance for you. So, Moving on.
Yep.
So, quick question. You talked about the Bay Colony Productions. So that's the name of the nonprofit organization that owns the theater, and you're the executive director.
Yep.
So, who acts? Where do the acts come from?
It depends. Like with our musical and plays, we have open auditions. So we'll post on websites and newspapers and things like that on our website as well, which is orpheum.org. That we're having a musical. Here's the date of the auditions. Here's what we're looking for at the auditions, and people come out. So we have people from all over, actually, Rhode Island, Boston, north of Boston. It really depends on the show. Actors travel. They're like gypsies. They go where the shows are. So,
well, I've been to many of the productions, and I really, it's a great night out for folks who haven't experienced the Orpheum Theater. It's live theater in our own backyard, and it is a really quite a nice show, professional show. It's one of my favorites was Cabaret, and it's still, even going back to things like, so was it Seussical?
Seussical, yeah.
Yes.
That was one of our first, yeah.
It was one of the first?
One of the first after we purchased, yeah. It was,
really?
I think, the very first one. Like I said, we purchased in November. I think that was in January.
Okay, wow. I didn't realize that, but that's...
We've been performing there prior to that in different shows, but that was our first or second as owners of the building.
As the owners of the... Okay. So you mentioned about open casting. Do you have to be a member of the Actors Guild?
No, we're non-union, so which means you don't get paid. So that's the downside to that. No, we look for...
we're non-union here also. So
I'm not getting a check?
No, you're not getting a check. But you get my thanks.
Oh, look at the time. So
we got plenty of time. No worries. Besides the fact you mic'd up, you can't leave.
I know, huh? So so people come from all different skill levels. Obviously, if you want a bigger part, we probably look for someone who's a little more experienced, perhaps. But yeah, we have kids, we have adults, we have older, younger, all sorts of different actors.
So I was visiting you at the theater with my handy assistant, who is also my son, Kevin Hickey, doing some B-roll footage, and couldn't help but notice that there's some people there that I recognized from years ago when I used to help out with the haunted house when the JCs were working with you on that.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question is, do you have a number of core people who have been with you all this time, who come back, sort of call them theater junkies, if you will?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the haunted house is one of those things, much like the Stooges, where you have kind of a group of people who just love doing that kind of thing. Just like you have Stooges fans who loved watching them, you have haunted house people who like to scare the bejesus out of people. So year after year, and we get them really young, which is usually junior high through high school. The volunteers come every day after school if they need be.
You indoctrinate them when they're young. Good.
Yeah.
Thing. Okay.
So they'll go up to the upper lobby, do their homework for a little bit, come do a couple hours of painting or moving sheetrock or, decorating a room or something like that, and then they'll go home. And then we start this Friday with the haunted house, and we'll go every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in October.
That's great. And absolutely, I know people who came back year after year for the haunted house now and before. I think I did, I won't say 11 of them, but it was an awful lot of
but it's a lot of fun.
Time,
yeah.
So it was a great time.
Yep.
So now that you're doing the haunted house in October, what then comes after the haunted house?
Well, Rocky
takes you a day or two to clean up, but then after that,
a couple weeks, yeah. We have Rocky Horror, like I said, October 26th, which is right at the tail end of the haunted house. Then we have Willy Wonka, which is Uncommon Theater Company. It's a Willy Wonka Jr. It's a musical.
Willy Wonka Jr.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's going to be November 23rd through the 25th, I believe. And that's going to be a great show.
So if I wanted tickets to see Willy Wonka Jr.,
yeah,
I would
probably go to uncommontheatercompany.com or org. But you can probably if you go to our website at www.orpheum.org, we'll have a link under our calendar.
You do have a very robust website, and all the links are there. I do go into it frequently, and it's great to see the things that are happening in our local theater. And really in Foxborough, we have to embrace this as our local theater. It's live theater. It's not something that every community has.
Right.
There's not a whole bunch of you, Bill, running around Massachusetts.
No, there's a few here and there. Now, another good thing is we use brownpapertickets.com. which is 24 hours, 7-day-a-week ticketing.
Okay.
So you don't have to, if you're busy and you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you can either call them or go on their website. The website's the easiest at home. Most people have computers and access to the internet. It's, brownpapertickets.com, and you can order them. With us, I know we don't charge any fees.
Right.
Other companies that rent, like Uncommon, there may be a $1.50 per ticket fee or something like that. But yeah, those are the really easy ways, because we know people are busy, and we have kind of, as the economy got worse, our box office hours got a little trimmed. So if you don't want to, have to go, oh geez, they're not open on Mondays. Well, you can go to brownpapertickets.com.
Right. And so let's get to that. You obviously you put a lot of your heart and soul into the theater, but it's not your only thing that you do.
Correct, yeah.
What else do you do to keep busy?
I host karaoke 3 nights a week.
Now, do you time warp at karaoke?
Sometimes. It depends on the amount of alcohol I've had that night, generally, I think. So
that was my mistake this morning, giving you water.
Yeah. I don't do coffee, so I probably should, but...
You might time warp a little more.
That's very true, So
you do karaoke?
Yep.
That's great. And do you do it locally?
I do one in Stoughton on Wednesday called At the Last Shot, Wednesdays 8:30 to 12:30. And then I work in town at the Kinsale across from Government Center, right across from City Hall, Boston City Hall Plaza.
Okay.
Kinsale there on tonight, being Thursday, 8:30 to 12:30, and I do it Sundays, 8 to midnight.
Of course, he says tonight, but we all know that television programs are timeless. So
yes.
If you want to find out more about Bill, you can call them at the Orpheum Theater, and their telephone number out there is 508-543-ARTS, A-R-T-S. And the Orpheum Theater here in Foxborough, it's been here
1926.
1926.
Yeah,
and
it was a silent film house. We have pictures on the wall with Alfred Hitchcock and Dorothy Lamour.
I was enjoying your lobby.
Yeah.
You've done a great job of decorating it and putting some interesting old posters, old movie posters in there, old newspaper clippings.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting time. Not that I like being kept waiting, but it was a very nice opportunity to sort of get in touch with the past of the Orpheum Theater. Right. So it started out as a silent movie house, and then it converted to, now when I was coming up here, in the 70s, in the 60s, 70s on vacations, it was a split movie house, if I remember.
Yeah, it had 3 screens from what I was told.
3?
Yep.
I only remember 2.
Right down the middle.
But I was short.
Right down the middle, had one on the right, one on the left, and then the back end where the stage is now, there was a very horrible, I guess, third theater with not a lot of soundproofing.
Really?
So they would show films there, and it would be a horrible sound because you'd hear the sound from the other 2 movies. So it wasn't really good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they were trying to compete with Sharon. And if you go before that...
Because they had the multiplex. And
yeah,
the
they had
Plaza.
like 8, I think. So they were thinking, we're in trouble. And actually, if you go before that, where the gas station is now, there was a double building. And what I was told was that there was like kind of a general store downstairs and the movie theater was upstairs. And in 1926, they built the other theater.
Okay.
And then somewhere along the way, whether it was 1926 or not, I don't know, but they were like, we have air conditioning. So that came into play.
Well, of course, I'm going to fact check with town historian and my friend Jack Othlet, but I'm going to go with you on this. Actually, that's very interesting, because I do remember, not remember anything, but the pictures of the building. In fact, you have a picture of that in your lobby.
Yeah, and Mr. Perry was the former owner, and he ran the bus line, so the buses all showed up at the movies at the right time.
Very, very,
very smart.
Good marketing, since he didn't build the usual, which I believe is an amusement park at the end of the train or the subway line. He had a theater, so very good.
Yeah. So.
And the bus line actually there's a station down on Central Street, was there not? Yes.
And the rumor is that they thought the train was going to come in, and so when he had both theaters, he wanted to demolish the building where the gas station is now so we could have a train stop there. But it never came to fruition. I don't know what happened, but the building burnt down a few months later, and still no train.
Still no train
still
after
no train.
all these years.
Yeah. So.
Now, would it have been called the Patriot Line back then, do you think?
Probably not. Probably not. We call it the Perry line, I
The
think.
Perry line. Well, it's old is new again, and here we are in 2012 and
Yep.
thinking about a train again. I don't know if there's going to be a stop right on the Common.
Maybe not.
Of course, we could extend Central Street right down the middle. We could just move the bandstand over.
There you go.
That was another idea from days gone by.
Yeah.
So with the Orpheum Theater and the live theater that goes on, how frequently do you do live productions? There's got to be a lot that goes into it. You can't just snap your fingers and say, hey,
Right.
let's just have a show tonight.
It takes about 8 weeks or so of 3 to 4 nights a week rehearsal, and then the week.
3 to 4 nights a week?
Yep. And then.
So if somebody wants to volunteer and be on stage, it's going to take a little bit of work.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger the bigger the role, the more rehearsals you have. If you're in the chorus, there'll be a few less rehearsals. So we try to do 3 or 4 productions a year, and we also rent out to a number of groups that also do it. So.
Okay, so there's other groups that come in, and so there's a vibrancy going on. There seems to always be something going on. And I also, when I was looking at the posters outside, you also had, let's see, I even wrote it down, classes and
we have
other
kids,
affiliations.
Yep,
and
we have kids classes throughout the year. We do dance, voice, piano, musical theater. We have a competition team that goes out and competes.
Really?
Yep.
Did not know that.
We have classes on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. We have a huge summer camp. We do 4 different camps in 8 weeks.
You have a huge summer camp program.
About 80 kids per camp. We have 4 camps.
Really?
Yep. We do 2 in Westwood because that's where we started originally, and we finish at the Orpheum. Those are show-based, and then we have 2 at the theater. One show-based and one is class-based. So they'll take video production, they'll take cartooning, they'll a whole bunch of different classes, dance, karaoke,
So there's an awful lot going on.
Absolutely.
And who knew that was such a great resource for a parent? So any child that is interested in any type
starting
of...
in kindergarten through 12th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
And to get information on that,
Orpheum.org.
www.orpheum.org. So you do have some things that are going on now, but what does the future hold in store for the Orpheum Theater and for you? Where do you crystal ball? I dropped it on the floor, obviously, but if you were to look in your crystal ball, what would you see happening?
I don't know. We've been here 8 years, and probably one of the toughest economies that we've had. And it's always changing because you got to change with what people can afford. So, we started some stand-up comedy to try to,
I've enjoyed several of those nights.
Yeah, because they're
nice.
less expensive than a musical and things like that.
It's also a great night out. And the last one I was at, you had 3 acts.
Yep.
And it was a fun night out.
And we get a beer and wine license for the day, and so it's a nice.
So it's a full service. You can get Twizzlers and
beer
a
and wine, popcorn. Yeah.
Life that's what makes the world go round.
So
sometimes.
to answer your question, it's ever changing. I'm not sure, but we just take it kind of like 1 month at a time, 6 months at a time, 1 year at a time.
Now, if I am a supporter of live theater in Foxborough, how can I monetarily help? What can I do? Just show up at a show? Do you have season ticket holders?
We don't have season tickets.
Do you have friends of the Orpheum? You
can make a donation to Orpheum. There's you can join our mailing list and just support us by coming out.
Okay. So to join the mailing list, one would go to
Orpheum.org.
Or you have info@orpheum.org.
Yeah, that's an email we can put you on. But we send out a constant contact like once a week.
I'm on your list.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, so you can just go on. There's a little button on our website that says join mailing email list.
Okay.
And that's probably the best way.
Well, it is very nice to get those emails because it's a constant reminder of some of the exciting things that are going on, and it does help with making a schedule. And what are you going to do this weekend? There's a lot going on in Foxborough that people may not realize. So hopefully by your taking a few minutes to come share with us today, people have a better understanding, appreciation. Yeah. So, changing speed just a little bit. I love the building.
Yeah.
And for those who, I've alluded several times, I'm a member of the Foxborough JCs, and when several years ago, we were looking for a home, and you were gracious enough to partner with the JCs, and JCs essentially moved back, and you created the haunted house as a standalone project for the Orpheum. But in all those years in doing the project at the Orpheum, I just love the building.
Yeah.
Being in the bowels, being in the nooks and crannies. What's going on with the buildings? I remember some years ago there was a project to repaint and restore.
Yeah, and that's where we got the photos and things
Right.
like that. We had a gentleman.
And that was well publicized. And
Yeah, and he was very kind to spearhead that. It's an interesting building. Again, it's older, 1926. It's what I think that's what I like about the haunted house is it's good and bad. From a standpoint of a building, you don't know anything's going on. It has no windows really, and as you go around the rotary, you don't see it because you're looking this way to go that way. So you don't know anything's going on. But what I like about the haunted house is you think it's small, and it's not. It's three levels.
it is huge.
We use the whole building, and they're very smart in the design of it when they did the renovations to use every inch of that building, and it was smartly designed.
Well, and so the building is solid. Everything is good as far as that goes. And quite frankly, I've not had a bad sight line in there when I go to see. And even the balcony is it's right there up on the stage, so it's not a bad seat in the house, so to speak.
Absolutely.
It's a nice theater, and for those folks who haven't been in it, I would encourage you to come on down and see a production. Maybe you don't have the energy to do Rocky Horror, but there's many other things. If you're a guy, and what guy is not a fan of the Stooges? Come on, you can admit it. Don't worry about the person sitting next to you. You can admit it. You love the Stooges. This holiday season, hope we see everybody there.
Absolutely.
So with the classes that are going on and the affiliations, how does that work as far as, say I want to become a part of, you call it Uncommon Theater? Maybe I want to learn more about Uncommon Theater. Do you have information? How closely do you work with them, being the executive director of the theater? They come in, are they just renters, or is there more of a synergistic relationship there?
Yeah, absolutely. We're both trying to put on good shows. We're both trying to work in community theater. We know it's hard, so we share a lot of things. Share set pieces, share costume pieces. We hire some of their people. They hire some of my people. So we want to put on a good show for the public, and we work together to do so.
Great. So,
and what I like about them is they're young kids. I mean, they're strictly pretty much a kids group. So it's almost like kids in training.
As you and I get older, everybody's kids.
Yeah, that's true. But they start young. They come to learn the building. The kids of today are tomorrow's adult actors and tomorrow's technicians. So they do a great job. They put on great shows, and so it only benefits us to have them in there and for them to do well, because most likely they'll be joining our ranks in the adult production.
Sure. And you had mentioned something, 2 points. So people who act professionally, they get their start in local theaters such as this. So this is a legitimate stepping stone, if you will, or a training ground. So what sort of exciting things do you see? I mean, I remember the Suzical, and there was the one girl who was just a fantastic singer, and I just, where do you track these people? Where do you follow these folks to? Right? It's got to be sort of, I don't mean to be a Papa Bear type thing, but you have to look at some of these folks, and as they come back and they mature and they grow and they get better, and it's got to be kind of nice to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough business to break into. Obviously, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, because it's one of the only professions that you're constantly getting rejected. You go for the job and you get rejected. You rejected. Very few get to go on. Where we luck out is that your kid's going to come to you and go, "Dad, I'm going to college. I want to go for theater." And you go, "Not with my money." So they go off and they become whatever degree they get, but they still have that
bug.
That bug.
Yeah.
So I get them. So it works out great for me for the most part, because those are the people who have careers and do it on the side. So they're still as talented as the people you want, but they have day jobs. So that's how it benefits me. We've had a few people who've gone on to national tours, or that girl Jana you're speaking of, she did the cruise lines. Now she's in New York trying to make her own record and things like that. So yeah. And we've also had some
Look at you pulling a name out of the hat. I didn't pre-plan. That's great. That is great.
Yeah. I wish I could, I didn't have her sign anything. I want like royalties or something. No. Like I said, actors go where the show are. It's not because of me that they're talented. I've given them a forum to express their talent. Yeah. So I don't take credit for anyone's.
But without live theater,
yeah,
where would they be?
Absolutely.
They'd be somewhere
Interesting
else.
story.
That's why it's such a good thing for Foxborough to have this.
I had this girl, Kristen Corderoni. She's been with our theater company since very, very young. Mm-hmm. Grew up in our theater company, went off and did the national tour of Cats. She came back to me about 3 months ago, and she actually met her fiance doing a show at our theater. They're going to get married there in June.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a neat.
Well, there's your shout out. Very nice.
Yeah.
And she was, that's great.
And she was in Seussical. She was one of the birds. Yeah. So.
I like a lot of the variety that goes on at the Orpheum Theater.
Absolutely.
And I'll harken back to the cabaret. I thought those are very well professionally done, but it was also something that I thought, ooh, that's a little risque for Foxborough. But it was a great production.
Yeah, well, we try to be a little diverse so we can get as many people in there as possible,
And there's another one that it's gonna flip off my mind until about 2 seconds after.
Like the Producers or something, Rent, Producers,
Hairspray. In the springtime. Which one is that?
Oh, I think it's Producers.
Is that okay?
I think so, yeah. So.
Folks at home are going to say, Bob, I cannot believe you forgot the name of that show, but I did. Anyway, that's the beauty of television. It's always taped, the mistakes we make, and here I am, every week for your pleasure. So you mentioned, in addition to acting, some technicians. If somebody isn't necessarily an actor, but likes the behind-the-scenes things, there's also opportunity there?
Absolutely. Just this spring, had a kid he's a freshman in high school now, from Mansfield, very interested in sound. So we brought him over. He came and sat with our sound guy, Ed, and now I use him quite a bit for a lot of our kids stuff. So very knowledgeable in sound. So it's just to put him with someone, an adult who does it professionally, gives him some access and some more knowledge. And especially, sound can vary between doing a band, a soloist, or especially musical theater. So he gets to work in a theater environment behind someone who is one of the best in the business, and so he gets a little bit of education. We get some help, and it works out well.
Sounds very similar to what goes on here at Foxborough Cable Access. You have in front of the camera and you have behind the camera.
Yeah.
It's a great way for anybody who's interested in any type of production, live theater, to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, who doesn't enjoy a night out at the theater? So last word, if there's something you want to leave everybody at home with, what's the message?
Just come support the Orpheum Theater, come see a show, a movie, a band, a musical, our haunted house, our New Year's Eve comedy show. There's lots of stuff we do. Come out and support so we can be around for another 100 years or so.
100 years or so. Excellent. Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate it.
On behalf of the Orpheum Theater, Bill Cunningham has been here, sharing and showing the different things that go on, and hopefully you in Foxborough and surrounding communities will take advantage of that. Come on out to the Orpheum Theater, enjoy some live theater, enjoy some Stooges, hit the haunted house, do some classes, go to summer camp, learn some technical aspects. Also, there's live music sometimes for some of the shows. Many ways to get involved. If you want to get involved with the Orpheum Theater, call them at 508-543-ARTS. That's 543-ARTS. Contact them by email at info@orpheum.org or check them out on the web at www.orpheum.org. And I'm going to hit you with Facebook. I don't Facebook. I don't know how to do it. But they tell me that you can go to facebook.com/Orpheum Theater, spelled the English way. So it's /Orpheum-Theater. Like the accent. I'm Bob Hickey. Thank you so much for coming out, spending a few minutes with us as we enjoyed Bill Cunningham, the Orpheum Theater on Foxborough Central. If you would like to have a copy of this, please contact Cable Access at www.fcatv.org. On behalf of all the volunteers of Foxborough Cable Access, folks behind the scenes today, Paul Gukin, Bob Loomis, Betty Travers, my son Kevin on the remote, Gary Nash behind the scene, Executive Director Michael Weber. I'm Bob Hickey. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, Foxborough.